process of blending families can be tricky and difficult. Would it make someone a jerk if they drew boundaries that cross the line in between their beliefs? Well, we've got a story on that in just a bit, but first, am I the jerk for not waking up a tourist who overslept and missed the day trip she paid for? Hi guys, I'm 21-year-old female, a Bulgarian tour guide who accompanies groups to Sicily. On a recent trip, one woman, who was traveling alone, mid-30s, was consistently oversleeping. The first day after we arrived, we had a day trip to Etna and Taormina, for which we depart at 8 a.m., as we do all other day tours. I made sure that all tourists are informed of the departure times on the bus the day before, and they also have my number to call in case they forget so I can remind them. They also have printed out pamphlets with the schedule made by a travel agency that I hand out that has the time for departure on it. All of the group was on time, except one woman. She was late by 10 minutes, which, okay, maybe she got caught up in something and was late. I excused it, then mentioned to the whole bus and the mic that I do not tolerate lateness beyond 15 minutes at most in case of emergency like a forgotten possession, and that I must always be called and informed in case someone is running late. Went by okay otherwise. The next day, the same tourist was late again, by 25 minutes, almost an entire half hour. I called her twice to no answer, and we were just about to leave without her when she came out running and got on the bus. She got lucky, as the receptionist of the hotel asked me about a missing piece of info on the rooming list and earned her some time. I reminded everyone again that I will not be waiting any more for late tourists in the morning, and waking up on time is their responsibility. When we came back that evening, she asked me if I could make sure to wake her up on time. I reminded her a third time that I'm not responsible for waking people up. Everyone gets a printed itinerary with departure times, and I announce everything the day before. She kept saying, no, just knock on my door if I'm not out by 8:15. And I kept repeating, I really can't do that for everyone. Please, set an alarm. Well, on the day we were visiting Syracuse, she didn't show up. I waited 15 minutes after the supposed departure time, called her twice to no response, then left with the bus and the rest of the group. She called me in a panic about an hour later, asking where we were. I explained the situation calmly. She got angry and said that I had one job and that I cheated her out of the money she paid to go on that day trip. She missed the whole day trip and was furious the next day. Later, she told the rest of the group that I abandoned her and also called my agency, leaving a bad review about me. Am I the jerk for not personally waking up a grown woman despite warning her multiple times I wouldn't? No, you're not a jerk, OP, and please don't let this lazy woman gaslight you into thinking that you've done anything wrong. You've already gone above and beyond by giving her a grace period to get down there in time. You've called her, you've warned her, and she's consistently late. This isn't like a one-off incident, and on top of that, it's just selfish. It's disrespectful of other people's time who have to wait for her to roll out of bed. So no, you're not her personal caretaker. You don't have to wake her up and, why don't you just bring her breakfast in bed while you're at it, right? So no, not the jerk. The only jerk in this story is the lady that keeps oversleeping. Glendak 37 replied, I'm an avid traveler. I'd be angry to sit on the bus every morning waiting on someone who's chronically late. Time is money, and she'd be wasting mine. If she's worried about hers, she needs to set an alarm. If she's complained to other guests, I guarantee you they weren't feeling bad for her. Not the jerk. Michael Moby replied, You're in a hotel. Schedule a wake-up call at the front desk. Yes, they still do that. Beyond that, I'm surprised she made her flight out to Sicily in the first place. Also, hey everybody, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Am I the Jerk videos, it would be amazing, awesome, if you could like the video or comment down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my husband's childhood best friend she's too involved with my kid? A bit over a year and a half ago, me and my husband gave birth to our son. It was our first kid, and we were incredibly nervous and scared we were going to screw things up. The first week with him back were horrid. He cried all the time, and it was ridiculously exhausting, but I'd be lying if I said we didn't know what we were getting into. At the start, my husband's BSF was amazing. She would come around all the time, bring us food, spend time with our son, babysitting, so we could get some time away, and really appreciated the help, and she seemed to genuinely love my son. When my maternity leave was finished and I went back to work, she offered even more of her time to help with babysitting instead of me hiring someone. I said that I couldn't make her do that, and surely she had other things to do, and she said it was fine. She works from home on her online businesses anyway, and she even refused pay. And honestly, I didn't mind any of the help until now. I recently noticed on our doorbell that she had been coming in at night while I was doing occasional night shifts. I thought it was strange, but, free help, so I never confronted it, as weird as I felt it was. But yesterday when I came home from a shift, I found my son playing with her and found that he kept referring to her as Mama. I think something kind of broke inside of me, and I told her to get out. She protested and asked what's wrong, and I just asked her to leave and not come here again, and she accused me of being jealous and that I was scared I was being replaced. She pointed out that if I was a more involved parent, my husband and son wouldn't need a second wife, and I screamed at her and told her if she knows what's good for her, she should get out. She finally did. My husband came home a bit after, and I told him about it, and he just shrugged and didn't say anything. But my mother-in-law called and had a go at me, basically repeating her talking points and saying that I need to apologize. And honestly, I'm at a lost cause at this point. I feel really bad and felt like I went too far. Am I the jerk? This one's conflicted. I mean, she's having a go at someone that has gone above and beyond to make sure that her child is safe and secure, and I guess it just begs the question, why would this child be calling this other woman Mama? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of weird. LA Dancer 22 replied, she called herself your husband's second wife, and your husband just shrugged? Really? Major red flags. Kami Sang added, OP did not mind her business and let this situation get away from her. We're focusing on the friend. Fair. What's OP's justification for her child calling this woman Mama? It speaks a lot about how OP turns up for her kid. Our next story is, am I the jerk for pointing out my wife acted similar after my sister-in-law's gender reveal? So, my wife's sister is pregnant. She had a gender reveal last Saturday. This is her second baby. Second baby is a boy. First kid is a girl. Sister-in-law was kind of disappointed, or surprised, I guess, about having a boy, but I wouldn't say mad. My wife only has sisters, so sister-in-law probably didn't imagine herself raising a boy. So anyways, right, on the ride back home, my wife was talking about how it was weird her sister was so visibly disappointed when the blue came out, but she acted the same. She got over it after a day or a week, but she still was. We have 2 daughters. She was hoping for a boy and a girl. She was like, we're not talking about me though, and I said, just pointing it out, and she responded, you always do that though. Just kind of admired the air for the rest of the car ride. Am I the jerk? So Much More Eagle replied, not the jerk, she's a hypocrite and didn't like you pointing that out. It's amazing to me that people are surprised about the gender of their child when it's basically a 50-50 chance. Also, if you have your heart set on one or the other, maybe don't do a gender reveal in front of a bunch of people. Our next story is, am I the jerk for startling a woman by saying, on your left, while riding my bike like a normal person? I, 28-year-old female, live in a bike-friendly mountain town where cycling is basically a religion. If you're not dodging spandex-clad dads or kids on e-bikes, are you even really here? Anyway, I was biking from my house into town on a designated bike trail that also doubles as a sidewalk, and as usual, I followed proper biking etiquette like a nerd. So, I see this woman, probably mid-60s. Very I say hi to strangers and expect a thank you energy. Walking directly in the center of the sidewalk, not slightly off to the side, full center stage, like she's the main character of the trail. Whatever. There was still space to pass her safely, so as I approached, I gave the classic heads up. On your left! Clear, polite, firm. The gold standard of trail courtesy. As I pass her, she leaps into the air like she's been tasered, flails her arms and screams, "Hey!" like I just ran over her cat. So I stop, turn around, and say calmly, but definitely annoyed, I said on your left, did you not hear me? She is full-on furious, red in the face, finger-wagging, foot-stomp energy. No, I didn't hear you. I'm listening to an audiobook, she shouts, like that's a solid excuse for nearly jumping out of her skin on a public sidewalk. So I respond, okay, but do you hear how ridiculous it is to be mad at me for you not hearing me? Because you were listening to an audiobook? Her clapback? Well, you have headphones in too. Yes, I have one earbud in. It's not even playing anything. I respond, right, but I can hear you perfectly fine. The issue isn't that I couldn't hear you, it's that you couldn't hear me. I'm not sure she caught that logic loop, but I stand by it. Then she hits me with the ultimate logic bomb. When I didn't move over, you should have stopped. So I say, let me get this straight. I'm riding with momentum, calling out like I'm supposed to, and because you chose to walk down the center of the path while blasting your audiobook, I'm supposed to come to a complete stop so you can keep pretending this sidewalk is your personal runway? That's not how this works. I told her, politely-ish, that maybe next time she uses one earbud or turns the volume down, because not being able to hear your surroundings is in fact a safety hazard. She called me rude and inconsiderate, shouted at me while I rode off, and probably mentally left me a 1-star Yelp review for existing. So, am I the jerk for using normal bike etiquette and then defending myself when a woman got mad for not hearing me because she was too busy listening to Bridgerton or whatever? Edit, few things here. 1, her yell was not a startled yell. People seem to be getting that confused. She was actively yelling at me. I stopped because I was originally confused why someone was yelling at me. I startled many people before, and her reaction was not one of being startled. 2, it's a bike and pedestrian path. Bikes have the right of way. 3, the way it was written was for entertainment purposes only. I could have written it straight to the point and blunt, but it made for a much more entertaining read with a little razzle-dazzle. There are clearly some Bridgerton fans in the chat. Everybody sucks. This argument was petty. Honestly didn't need to happen because neither side's going to convince the other that they're correct. Possible Tangelo 9344 replied, everybody sucks here. Why bother stopping to argue? Your writing style here comes off that you're very quick to judge based on your interpretation of this woman solely on her appearance. Very I say hi to strangers and expect a thank you energy. So, it seems like you were predetermined that she wasn't going to fit the local cycling religion. What if this woman was deaf? Partially deaf. She shouldn't have been in the middle of the walkway, but it seems like you judged her early and then tailored your behavior to get that impression confirmed when all you had to do was yell a quick sorry or something and go about your day. Fallen243 replied, I mean, he may have prejudged her, but he was right. She was impeding the flow and willingly chose to not be able to hear, then got pee when someone followed proper protocol. Our next story is, am I the jerk for shouting at my father for what happened at my graduation ball? I'm 19 and my parents have been divorced since I was 6. Their divorce was messy. I wanted to invite both of them to my graduation ball, and so I reserved 2 tables as far away from each other as possible. I also asked my mom to send my dad an email. I wanted them to organize one photo which I would put on my desk at uni. I don't have any photos with both my parents and me in it, and I really wanted one. The ball is a tradition in my country, and the program is usually very full and entertaining. It's really hard to plan, but I was super excited about finally having my own. My father arrived pretty late, 2 minutes before the official start. I only hugged him and then ran to make it for our opening dance number. Through all the program, which included me singing on the podium, I couldn't see my father anywhere. He didn't even show up for the father-daughter dance. After standing alone at the dance floor for a few minutes, my grandpa finished the dance with me while I was crying. My dad showed up about 15 minutes later. He danced for a minute with me, then took me to sit down somewhere. I asked him where he was the whole time, and he started shouting that the dance was 20 minutes early. I had no idea. I didn't have my phone on me, and we left the timing to the moderator we hired, and that his table didn't exist. Obviously, I was very confused. Firstly, I apologized a few times, and then asked him to clarify so that I could help him. It turned out that the decorations company we hired messed up. They put number 5 on my father's table instead of 15. I wanted to find my father some other table, but he only went on about how the organization was horrible. My and my classmates organized it, and that he was going home. It was 10 p.m. The ball ended at 2 a.m. It's customary for the family to leave after midnight. I was horrified and apologized more, but he wouldn't be convinced to stay. As we were walking down the stairs, I asked him if he could stay for a minute for that photo. At that point, he became angry and started shouting at me about the details of his divorce, that my mom moved away, that she wanted money, etc. I was crushed. The next day, I sent him a message. I apologized again and told him how the whole thing looked from my perspective. I also texted him that while the whole affair was unfortunate, there were steps he could have taken to avoid it. Arriving earlier, asking a helper to help him find the table, finding me. He replied only, "I don't see it that way." After that, I found out that his wife had made an official complaint to the principal. I found it embarrassing since now everyone knew about it. I called my father and we argued for 2 hours. I think that what happened wasn't my fault, but he feels as though I'd humiliated him for not making sure he had a place to sit. He was also angry that I asked him for the photo since my mother wronged him so much. I feel a bit guilty about shouting at him. So, am I the jerk? No, you're not the jerk. I think that dad, selfishly, whether intentional or not, is making this all about him, and instead of swallowing his feelings and his pride and doing right by his child, he's just throwing a hissy fit, so no, not the jerk. Serafina Volt replied, "Not the jerk. My dad pulled this same crap at my graduation, showed up late, benched about the seating, then left early claiming we disrespected him. Then I realized it was never about me. Just like your dad's meltdown wasn't about table number. It was about him refusing to take responsibility for anything, even showing up for his kid." Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my brother-in-law to leave after the agreed time he could stay? Wife and mother-in-law cornered me into agreeing to let my brother-in-law stay over for 6 weeks. I was not at all inclined, as he's entitled, exploitative, ungrateful, arrogant, ill-tempered, and ill-mannered, and a lot of other adjectives that I find too much to list. For context, he owes significant money which he hasn't repaid, has misbehaved with my wife and I on several occasions, and has not apologized even once, some incidents being fairly recent before his visit. Basically, he's a 34-year-old man-child. The agreement was to let him stay for 6 weeks, max, provided he behaves himself. Any time beyond that, and he would have to find other accommodations. My wife then asked me if he could stay another 4 weeks. I didn't want to have an argument, so I agreed. Then I was informed he's extended his stay by 12 weeks. Remember, I wasn't asked, I was informed, and my wife wasn't aware as well. So my mother-in-law and brother-in-law, with their entitled attitude, just assumed I'd be good with that. I refused. He had to pack his bags and leave. Now I'm being made to feel that I'm the bad guy. Mother-in-law enables this behavior by covering for him or making excuses. I'm not understanding why everyone is reacting to a situation they initially agreed to. Like, was that done in bad faith? Clarification. He stayed 6 weeks, as agreed, but then my wife asked for a 4-week extension. But when it came to extended, they assumed they could just do 12 instead of 4. So he didn't stay 10 weeks. I refused when an extra 4 weeks wasn't good enough for them. You're not the jerk. You don't owe them anything, and if you don't start to dig in and push back a little bit, they're going to continue to take advantage of you. Not the jerk. Okay, Practice 838 replied, "Not the jerk. This is not your problem, but your wife has made it so. Please have a long discussion with your wife and get this straight between the two of you. This is what is most important. The entitlement of your brother-in-law and mother-in-law is something you and your wife need to be on the same page about. Let them know that you more than kept your word for the time of having your brother-in-law stay with you. If they have a problem with that, that's their problem, not yours. Good luck. Again, you and wife get things straight between you. That's the most important issue here." Our next story is, am I the jerk for forcing my diet on my boyfriend? I'm from France originally, and I moved to the States almost 2 years ago. Now, for some reason, the food here makes me sick. Not in an ew, that's gross kind of way, but actually physically sick. My body seems to struggle to digest it, whether it's takeout or fancy restaurant food. Either I can't go to the bathroom for days, or I'm violently vomiting. I tried dealing with it for months and months, but I started losing weight very quickly because I couldn't eat. I ended up developing a serious aversion to food, and my family recommended I go and speak to a specialist. I had never had a problem back home, and I was terrified I was seriously ill. So I went to multiple doctors where I was poked and prodded, and I had multiple tests done. They have all said nothing is wrong with me physically. I spoke to a dietitian, and he explained that my body is probably not used to the amount of salt and preservatives that's found in the food in the States. Please don't think I'm bashing the US. I love it here, and it's a great country. My dietitian recommended fresh and organic produce to see how my body coped, and to my delight, I improved. I stopped vomiting, and I was able to start slowly putting weight back on. I started making meals from scratch and meal prepping to save time throughout the week. My dad is actually a chef back home, so he was more than happy to send me some recipes to keep my diet interesting. I made a delicious vegetarian lasagna from scratch and put it in the oven to cook. My boyfriend, American, came home after work and asked what was for dinner. I said I was making a veggie lasagna. He rolled his eyes and said he was sick of that organic crap and wanted a cheeseburger. The comment hurt. I made a real effort at mealtimes to keep it varied, so we're not always eating the same thing. I said I couldn't make one because I didn't even have any burger buns. He said it was unfair to make him eat my diet. I had never realized he was opposed to it. He benefited from home-cooked meals, and I had seen that his clothes were fitting him better. He had more energy, and he didn't sleep so much on the weekends. I apologized and said I didn't mean to make him feel forced. Am I the jerk for forcing my diet on him? Okay, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like OP is forcing their diet on him at all. He's just enjoying the free meal and then complaining about it, right? If he doesn't want the organic, non-American food, I'm sure there's a McDonald's or something around the corner. He's more than welcome to go get himself. Rip Negative 6969 replied, "Girl, you aren't forcing him to do anything. He's a grown man with 2 feet. He can go get a burger. You should force his butt out the door because you don't deserve to be talked to like that. Not the jerk." Edit. Holy cow, thanks for the upvotes and the award. OP, I hope you're able to look past all the bizarre people trying to justify this man-child's behaviors and know this behavior isn't acceptable. To all the sad men DMing me insults, your tears give me life. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my brother he's stealing my inheritance by getting an addition on his house? I, 46-year-old male, have one brother, 43-year-old male, and our mom is aging and becoming financially insolvable. In other words, Social Security is not enough for her to live off of when she has unexpected expenses. She luckily owns her house outright, but recently took a fall that caused her to have a black eye. My brother and I are both worried about her. My brother and my mom live near each other, many states away from where I live. So, about 2 weeks ago, I told my brother that when I buy a house with my partner where I live, I wanted to look for a place with a mother-in-law suite for her. I was thinking of her when I offered because she grew up in the mountains, now lives in a flat place, and mentioned that she wanted to retire in the mountains. I live in a mountainous place. The problem is, I'm still 2 years out from buying a house. Since I mentioned moving here to my mom, she took that fall and gave her a black eye and had some expensive car repairs. My brother and I talked, and he said he wanted to look into getting some estimates for renovations to his house for my mom that he would pay for. Yesterday, I learned that my brother and mom are now meeting with contractors together, and my mom is paying for everything. My mom told me yesterday that she could renovate my brother's basement to live in, way less expensive, or get an addition to his house, way more expensive. Then added that there would not be any inheritance for me if she chooses the more expensive option. The only money she currently has is in her house. So I called my brother and told him I felt like he would get a bigger house as an inheritance and I would get nothing. He told me that he should get a bigger house because he will be caring for her. The problem is that when my partner and I have discussed moving my mom to where I live, we never included my mom's equity in her house as anything we would use to buy, primarily because it would affect my brother's inheritance. At this point, it's not about the money, but about the decision that my brother is willing to make. There are many ways that this could have been structured more fairly, but I don't think I can look him in the eye again. Am I the jerk? Yes, you are. Moving on. Kiwi Alex P. replied, "You are the jerk, and a greedy one at that. There's no inheritance to steal. Your mother is alive and can spend her money on anything she chooses." Our next story is, am I the jerk for setting boundaries with my wife's family when she thinks I'm being unreasonable? I, 33-year-old male, and my wife Jennifer, 32-year-old female, have been together for 8 years, married for 5, and have 2 kids. We recently moved into a house we've been slowly fixing up. Her extended family has a very open-door culture. They come and go as they please, often without notice. Her grandparents even walk in unannounced, knock on the wall, and call out after they've entered. This makes me uncomfortable. I'm a private person who values alone time, especially because I like to relax at home in the nude, which Jennifer knows and normally respects. I've told her clearly that I need notice before anyone visits. Otherwise, I feel overwhelmed and like my space is being violated. This past weekend, Jennifer took the kids and her cousin on a short day trip. I was excited for some rare alone time, and I told her I'd plan to sunbathe and play video games. Our yard is fully private, so being naked outside is not an issue. As I opened the door to head out, I saw someone moving in the yard. It was Jennifer's dad, dressed for work and carrying tools and lumber. Without informing me, he had come over to build a protective cover over our heat pump, a project I had already started. I had previously told him I wanted to handle the work myself so I could learn, though I appreciated his advice. He had agreed, but now he proudly told me, "I put this together last night," showing a frame he'd already assembled, then said, "Put some clothes on and let's get started." I was stunned, totally naked, and shocked he was even there. I went inside and called Jennifer. She said, "Yeah, he asked if he could come help. I said it was fine, but I told him to call you first." So she gave him the green light without checking with me, and he never called. My solo day turned into a project day, and I felt awkward saying no. I also feel like Jennifer never really gives me the chance to learn by doing. Her dad always ends up taking over, and I suspect she asks him because she doubts my skills. I suck at building things, but I want to learn. I told Jennifer how upset I was. My privacy was invaded, and my boundaries ignored. She got annoyed and said I was being ungrateful. When I asked her how she'd feel if my dad showed up while she was topless and I hadn't told her, she just said, "That's different. I'm a woman." I've now told her I want to ask her family to stop coming by unannounced. She's ticked, saying I'm overreacting and making them feel unwelcome. But I don't think I'm being ungrateful. I just want my personal space respected. I now find myself peeking around corners in my own home, never sure if someone's randomly shown up again. So, Reddit, am I the jerk for setting boundaries with my wife's family that she doesn't agree with? Kurikomanio replied, "Not the jerk. Your wife doesn't get to decide everything for the both of you, imposing her family's ways on you and the household you both should have a say in. Each new married couple gets to start their own family culture. You get equal say. She especially shouldn't be imposing her family on you without even asking you, knowing you had other plans for the day. How presumptuous and rude. Her father, too, knew that you had planned to do that work yourself, so his help was something he knew he was imposing on you against your express wishes. If her family is pushing what they decide on others, then by pushing for what you want, aren't you playing your part by asserting yourself? If their family culture is just to one-sidedly steamroll over their children's spouses, then it needs to be pushed back against anyway." Pandora2304 replied, "Exactly, and I think a policy like this requires 2 yes and 1 no. If only one of them is uncomfortable with it, it shouldn't be an option and doesn't need a discussion. Something making you uncomfortable in your own home shouldn't even be considered. As soon as your wife realized how you feel about it, I think she'd care more about your feelings and needs than her family's wants and comfort. They could do scheduled visits like everyone else." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not sharing my food with my in-laws? Edit. My mother-in-law is retired in her 70s. She moved into our basement late last year due to needing to downsize because his father passed away. She's not paying rent, which we're fine with. We do not all eat together, only on occasion when I want to cook a very big meal or she offers to come up and cook something. Hope this clears things up. I, 24-year-old female, grew up with 2 sisters, so of course I was constantly forced to share everything, especially food with them. My husband, 27-year-old male, was an only child. We live with his mom for the moment, and what bothers me the most, every time I bring home fast food or any other food for myself or just the both of us, he offers it to his mother. I wouldn't have an issue picking up something for her as well, but when he goes and offers something I bought for myself that I was excited to eat, it irks me a little bit. Well, recently I was really craving Italian food, stuffed shells to be exact. My husband and I agreed to go pick something up from the local Italian place and bring it home to eat. Well, we get home and he instantly offers his mother some of our food, but this time I protested and said she can have some of his dish because I wanted mine for myself. He immediately got an attitude with me and said I wasn't going to eat it all. The dish only had 2 large stuffed shells and told me I was being stingy. His mom, I guess, kind of read the room and said she would just have some of his. He then doubles down and basically tells her to take the other shell from my plate and puts it on her plate for her. This is what really irritated me because I then ended up still hungry after because half my dinner was given to his mom. He offered some of his to me, but he knew I didn't like what I got. To conclude, am I the jerk for not wanting to share my food with her, and was I being stingy? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely wholesome that he's just trying to take care of his mom, but why does it have to be food off of your plate? Why can't he offer some of his food? Or, like OP said, like just get her own dish. So, no, not the jerk here. Flaming Crisis replied, not the jerk, because honestly, it feels like a power play to me. Like, did he not think in advance that he should get enough to share with his mom when you were at the restaurant? How hard would it have been to think, oh, we should order an extra portion for mom? No, instead, he took food off your plate to give to his mom, and to me, it just feels intentional. If it really was just about sharing with her, he could have just given her some of his. The fact that he took your food away feels like a punishment of some sort, although I can't really speculate what he's trying to prove. To me, it feels like he's trying to put you in your place, because if he really did just want to share with your mom, the logical response seems to be to get enough food for everyone, instead of expecting you to go hungry. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not catering to my nephew's pickiness? My sister-in-law is staying with us for a few months while they move, and it's been tough. I work from home while she's a stay-at-home mom, so she's home with me and her kids. Honestly, I don't mind them here much. My kid loves her cousins, and it's nice having someone to talk to at home during the day. But the tough part is cooking for them. Not only am I cooking for double the amount I'm used to, I also have to figure out what to make for them. Usually I cook one dish and we all eat it. No complaints or choice otherwise, because that's how I grew up and I never saw a problem with it. I don't force feed, just set the bowl in front of them and they eat as much as they want. It's great. My daughter eats everything and rarely expresses she doesn't like something. As a 3-year-old, she does occasionally. My sister-in-law's kids are very picky. They don't like tomato sauce, they don't like veggies, they don't like melted cheese, they don't like mayo on their burger, but sandwich is fine. They don't like soggy cereal. I can go on and on. Every day I try to make something they like. I made pancakes. My sister-in-law's like, oh, what recipe did you use? My oldest only eats a specific recipe. When he walks in, she goes over the top to explain to this 6-year-old that this is a different recipe and he'll have to try it. He refuses to try it until she forces him to take a bite and he throws a fit because he doesn't like it. The rest of the kids are eating quietly at the table. Any meal I make, I'm already expecting her to say something about it. Yesterday, I made sliders hoping that would be fine. Nope. She asked me to make half of them specific to the older child's taste. No cheese or sauce, just bread and meat. He still didn't eat it, because he didn't know about the taste. Anyway, I've been already cooking with way less vegetables than I usually do, and I'm at my wit's end. But I refuse to cook mac and cheese boxes and no pizza sauce every night. My freezer and pantry are all filled with processed food and snacks that we usually don't have because her kids don't snack on fruits and veggies. They snack on chips and donuts. I wish I was kidding, but I haven't seen her kids consume any fruits or veggies in the past few days. So, am I the jerk for not catering to their pickiness? I'm trying to keep balanced meals for my own family, and I refuse to change that just because they don't want to eat it. No, you're not the jerk. I mean, I've said it before many times on this channel. I'll say it again. Your home, your rules, you're doing them a big favor by offering them a place to stay while they're in the process of moving. And if they don't like that, mom can take them out to McDonald's and get them Happy Meals. I mean, I don't see what the issue is here. They don't have to eat what you're offering. Flat Style 7877 replied, maybe I missed it, but why are you catering to them in the first place? You're letting them stay for free. She's a stay-at-home mom. You've not spoken to any help she provides. She can feed her own kid. You need to worry about your family. Let her deal with her child. Set a boundary. This is ridiculous. You're not a short-order cook. Our next story is, am I the jerk for demanding my brother and sister-in-law pay me to visit them if they want to be friends? 5 years ago, my brother and sister-in-law moved to another state and promised to visit every month, which didn't happen. Over the next year, they visited once, and it was for a day and a half. Me and my brother were crazy close growing up, and it's a relationship I didn't want to lose. So I decided to pick up my game and try and visit them semi-frequently. On not one occasion, but 2, I proposed dates to visit and stay with them. I made sure to ask both because my brother is rubbish at making plans, but his wife seemed much better at it. They said yes, so I booked tickets. Then, a week out from the visit, they claimed that no plan had ever been made and I couldn't possibly stay at their house because various reasons, which were pretty weak. So I've stopped talking to them because my brother is terrible at keeping in touch via phone calls and texts, and the only way I can have a relationship with him is to actually go visit, which they've made impossible, and I've paid 800 AUD trying to do. Fast forward to a month ago. Our dad has been unwell, so my brother called for the first time in ages to check in. I took the call and we chatted for a bit. A few days later, my sister-in-law messages saying she's sorry for the misunderstandings and she wants to be friends again. I said, sure, if you pay for me and one of my kids to go visit them. It would cost about $400. She gets all indignant, saying they've done nothing wrong. I said, yes, you have, because details of plans we made and they disregarded that ended up just costing me money. She said I have the details wrong. I sent her screenshots of previous conversations disproving her. She said, I don't want to talk about this anymore, and called the times I spent $800 trying to visit them a trivial misunderstanding. So I've gone back to not speaking to them. Am I the jerk for holding a grudge? Should I just let it go? I can't see a point in reopening the gates because their combined inability to stick to a plan means even if I did start talking to them, I wouldn't get to see them. Also, I don't even think they want to see me. I don't know, I just feel like if this relationship isn't mutual, a two-way street of wanting to be friends, as you put it, then no, it's not worth pursuing any longer. Just let it go. Hodor Targaryen commented, not the jerk. You're not holding a grudge, you're enforcing a boundary. If $800 is so trivial, then they can spend that trivial amount to come visit you. You don't owe anyone a relationship, especially not people who treat your time, money, and effort like it means nothing. Our next story is, am I the jerk? Family drama about naming our child. I'm pregnant, and my wife and I have decided to name our daughter Georgia. My father-in-law's name is George. Our daughter is not named after him, we just love the name. My mother-in-law, his ex-wife, is unhappy about this. They had a tumultuous divorce and are not on great terms, and she feels hurt by the similarity in names. Am I the jerk, and should we pick a different name for our daughter, or is my mother-in-law overstepping boundaries? Look, it's your child. You shouldn't let what other people's thoughts on what you name your child bother you. Call her what you want. Knitting D replied, no jerks here. I can see both sides. If you really love the name Georgia, maybe suggest a nickname mother-in-law can use, like Gigi. Having a name so similar to a family member can get confusing, so a nickname could solve that issue as well. If you're not 100% sold on the name, maybe find one you like as much or more. It would be a way to keep the peace and would be thoughtful towards your mother-in-law, and you don't have to think of it as pandering to her. Names are a very personal choice, and it's really only between you and your spouse, but finding family harmony when a new baby is expected can make it easier on you too. Drama is never restful. Good luck. Pandora2304 replied, a nickname is a great idea. I was pretty sensitive about the name of the woman my ex cheated on me with, but I have a friend with the same name who goes by a nickname and didn't mind it at all because to me, it just felt like a different name, and I didn't make the connection. My best friend's sister-in-law has the same name and doesn't use a nickname, so whenever she said her name, it would trigger me. It's my emotions and my trigger to manage, first of all, but it's crazy how much just using a nickname can do. To me, it really feels like two different names. Our next story is, am I the jerk for giving the UPS driver water and a snack? To set the scene, I, 32-year-old female, usually give my postal workers snacks or waters around the holidays, but in the summer, I like to grab drinks from the fridge and hand it to them directly because they'd get hot if I let them sit outside. Last week, my usual UPS driver, 60-ish-year-old male, came to drop off a delivery for my front neighbor. It must have been around 9 p.m. because it was darkish outside. He parked in front of my house, and when I noticed him, I thought, I'll go hand him a water and snack since it's so hot outside. He was on his phone with his wife, and when he saw me, he went, oh, let me ask my wife if I can take it. Honey, can I take a water from a customer? He then proceeds to take the sealed water bottle and snack, says thank you, and I walk away. Yesterday, he rang my doorbell. I come out to say hi. He then asks if he can speak to me while mumbling something on his headset. Conversation went like this. He goes, she's right here, honey. I'm going to put you on speaker. I go, hello? And the wife says, I mean, as long as you tell her what you needed to tell her, then that's it. She's listening to you. Go ahead. And I say, hello? And she says, as a married woman, I don't appreciate you giving my husband water or anything. I go, oh, I usually give my UPS, USPS, postal workers snacks or water around the holidays. And especially right now since it's so hot and they're out here so late. And the wife says, well, as a married woman, I don't like that, and he didn't even have a package for you. You walked out and looked for him. I thought he was at a business making deliveries. Let me take care of my husband. I thought it was a joke, I'm not gonna lie. I let her finish her rant. And I say, well, he was making a delivery to my front neighbors, but you know what? I apologize. I'll never give your husband anything else from here on out. Have a good day. He then proceeded to say thanks and walked away. Didn't say anything else. Mind you, this man is our usual UPS driver. When he drives by, he honks and waves. Loves grabbing snacks around the holidays, so I was completely caught off guard with the wife going off on me. I was just trying to be nice to. So, am I the jerk for handing over a water and snack to the UPS driver? Update number 2. After reading some comments about my safety, I decided to call UPS and report the driver. I spoke with the rep and told her what happened. She thought it was absolutely crazy that it happened. Although I don't have his name, I'm sure they can pull up his information with the details I gave her. I specifically remembered the wife's name because I read it on the phone when I was listening to her. The rep said she would pass the incident to management because they wouldn't like it happening to other customers. I told her I wasn't trying to get him fired, but that I just wanted to make sure they were aware of it. If I hear back, I'll update y'all. Update. Wow, I didn't expect this many responses. There's really not much of an update here, but there's a few things I'd like to add that I keep seeing. 1, I reviewed my camera footage, and my daughter and I gave him the water bottle and snacks on Thursday at 9:12 p.m. 2, he came back on Monday of the following week, around 6 p.m. to have his wife chew me out. 4, no, he didn't have a package for me, just parked in front of my driveway and rang the doorbell. 5, to those saying I should report him, I've thought about it, but I don't want him to lose his job. He knows where I live, and if he told his wife about me giving him a water bottle, he's capable of giving her my address. 6, this same UPS man has met my husband. I'm shocked he really couldn't tell his wife that I'm also married and I was just being nice. He even asked about my dog once when he came to my door and needed a signature. 7, to those also saying this is fake, I wish it was. I honestly wanted to laugh and give his wife a piece of mind too. I genuinely thought that when he put her on speaker, she was going to say thank you for giving him a water. But nope, took a hard left. I even looked around like the characters from The Office looking for a camera thinking, this is a joke, right? My mom taught me to be respectful to elders, as this man could very well be my dad. So I let her say her piece and I called it a day. Thank you all for being so kind to me. I'll consider leaving the snacks out again. I just don't like leaving them out in the summer as it's so hot. But with temperatures rising, I'll probably do what some people have suggested of freezing the drinks instead. I appreciate all the kind words. I agree. It's ridiculous that all of this came from one simple, kind gesture, harmless in a vacuum. I mean, holy cow. No. Of course not the jerk. St. Alvis commented, not the jerk. The wife says, as a married woman, I don't appreciate you giving my husband water or anything. Well, as a freaking manager, I don't quite care what you do or do not appreciate. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my husband's stepsister that we'd no longer be going on holiday with her and his stepsiblings ever? My husband's parents are divorced, so he has stepsiblings, a stepsister and one stepbrother, from my mother-in-law's second marriage. He also has one sister who I love and get along great with. Every year, the siblings take at least one vacation together. To them, it's probably considered a tradition, and it's been very clear in the few months we've been married that his step-siblings intend to continue that tradition regardless of how I feel about it. This is an assumption, but I feel like they partly want my husband there because he either pays for it or has access to my father-in-law's vacation homes. The reason I want to put a stop to it is because I don't like his stepsister or his stepbrother's wife. My husband didn't introduce me to his mother's side of the family until after he proposed, and from the start, his stepsister and stepbrother's wife were very frosty and standoffish with me. I have no idea why they dislike me, but I got the vibe that they were hoping or expecting our relationship to fizzle out. Now they're a bit nicer to me, but I know they're not my type of people, and I much prefer his sister and his father's side of the family. The idea of having to spend minimum one vacation a year with them makes me feel so much dread, and I'm not going to force myself to do that. His stepsister informed me a few days ago that we'd be going to Greece in August. Honestly, the way she told me instead of asking me really rubbed me the wrong way, so I told her we wouldn't be going on holidays with her or his step-siblings going forward. She asked me if my husband had said that, and I told her no, that I was telling her that's how things will be going forward. I know I should have spoken to my husband first, but he knows his stepfamily haven't been the most welcoming, and I said it in the heat of the moment. His stepsister had told me, his wife, that I couldn't make that decision for him, and that I didn't need to come on the vacation, but my husband definitely would. I was pretty angry at this point, so I told her he wouldn't go if I asked him not to. Which is true, but I think it's made it easy for my stepsister to turn my mother-in-law against me. My sister-in-law is siding with me, but I'm pretty sure my mother-in-law doesn't like me very much anymore. My husband agreed he wouldn't go if I didn't want, but he thinks I should have spoken to him and let him handle the conversation because now I look like the bad guy when I should have let him take the blame. Am I the jerk? Yeah, I would say so. All of this drama seems kind of manufactured, could have been avoided. You definitely should have talked to your husband first. So yes, I'm going to say YTA. Happy Banana 134 replied, "You're the jerk. I told her we wouldn't be going on holidays with her and his step-siblings going forward. She asked me if my husband had said that, and I told her no, that I was telling her that's how things will be going forward. Your husband is right. You should have spoken to him and agreed together on how to handle this. Instead, you just started a fight where, frankly, there was no reason for one. Your stepsister doesn't need to turn your mother-in-law against you. You're speaking for her son without consulting him, being rude to his stepsister. Yeah, no crap, she won't like you much after that." Our next story is, am I the jerk for putting more effort into decorating my son's room than my stepdaughter's? I, 40-year-old female, have been with my husband, 43-year-old male, for several years. He has a daughter, 13-year-old female, from a previous relationship. When we started dating and I was introduced to her, he made it very clear that she already had parents and didn't need another one. What she needed was an advocate and a mentor. I was absolutely fine with that and have always tried to respect those boundaries. For the most part, our relationship is good. She's a great kid. Now, we also have a son together, 3-year-old male. He's my first and only biological child, and I had wanted him for a very long time. Here's the issue. I had a very specific vision for my son's room that I'd planned well in advance. I painted 2 ombre walls that go from grass green to sky blue and transition into a dusty blue ceiling covered in glow-in-the-dark stars. His ceiling light has a sun-shaped lampshade, and his night light is a moon. He has a Montessori-style floor bed designed to look like a tent, a grassy rug, a ball pit that looked like a pool, tree trunk-shaped toy chests that double as chairs and a table, and a tree-shaped bookshelf. I paid for all this myself. When it came to my stepdaughter's room, we asked her what she wanted. She said she wanted a reading nook, so we created one with a small round mattress, a ton of cushions in her favorite colors, and a mosquito net canopy. She chose her wall colors, solid block shades, and we did the room together. We split the cost 50-50. The rest of the furniture in her room was purchased by my husband before I came into the picture, and he doesn't see any point in replacing it since it's still in good condition. As a result, I didn't have much say in that space. Recently, after seeing my son's room fully set up, my stepdaughter got upset. She said I clearly put way more effort into his space than hers and accused me of playing favorites because he's actually mine. I tried to explain that I didn't want to overstep when it came to her room and that she made most of the choices herself, but now she feels hurt and like I don't care as much about her. I do feel guilty because I can see how, from her perspective, it looks unfair, but I also don't know how to navigate doing more without violating the boundaries my husband and I set early on. I'm not her parent, and I didn't want to push decisions onto her room. At the same time, I now wonder if I should have tried harder or been more involved. So, Reddit, am I the jerk? I think that this is something that you should be asking your husband and not Reddit for advice that doesn't have the full scope of details. This is a salvageable situation. I definitely think that there are solutions to making the stepdaughter feel more loved, more included. But yeah, you've got to figure that out with husband and possibly her mother as well. Balcony Herbs replied, "Not the jerk, but your husband is. Why are you pitching in for the cost of your stepdaughter's room, but he's not paying anything for his son's room? And why is he leaving you to take the blame on this?" Lows and Highs replied, "Those are the questions OP needs to answer. Not to us, but herself. Why did she pay for half of stepdaughter's room and foot the entire bill for a room for a child she has with the person she's married to? Because it was her vision? That's not a reason." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not letting my sister and her friends have my house for her birthday weekend? I, 25-year-old female, live in the basement unit of my friend's house. It's a complete separate unit and I pay rent. However, the big backyard is a shared space. My younger sister Teresa, 22-year-old female, lives at home with my parents still, which is about 20 minutes from my house. It's Teresa's birthday in a couple weekends, on the long weekend, and she's asked me to give up my house from Friday to Monday so her and 12 of her friends, who I've met maybe once, can party without my parents being around. I told her I would be fine with them staying for one night of the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday to Monday, but I would not want to give my place up for the full weekend. She said that will not work because her friend Samantha has her birthday a day after, and they both want to have a full day of partying. Therefore, they would need to be partying Saturday and Sunday and won't be able to leave Sunday night. Teresa usually has her birthday celebration for a weekend at our cottage. However, it's under renovations this year and is not available. I've seen how the cottage looks after the weekend, and it's absolutely trashed and not cleaned up whatsoever. Stains and food everywhere, and the floor is covered in sticky old drinks. My parents also never do anything to make Teresa see that's very inconsiderate, so she continues to do it. She's given options to me like they will all tent in the backyard and won't bother me if I'm up there, but they will still have to use my kitchen for food and my bathroom. And there's no way if 12 people who are 22 years old see 2 bedrooms, they won't use the bed. Also, after 3 days of partying, I'm sure people will be puking. I don't trust they will clean that up either in the backyard or my bathroom. It's also a shared backyard. I don't feel comfortable letting a bunch of random people in the backyard for 3 days straight when my friend, who owns the house, will most likely want to use the backyard at some point. Teresa's now mad at me, calling me a jerk for not letting her party in my backyard and basement unit all weekend, and says now she'll do nothing for her birthday because all cottages or campsites within a 5-hour drive are all booked up. I said it's not my fault that her and her friends have decided to start planning a week and a half before the long weekend. I think my offer for one night is nice enough, considering I don't know any of her other friends very well, and I know I'll be cleaning up after them the next day. She refuses to only party for one day and night, though. So am I the jerk for not letting my sister use my house for the full long weekend for her birthday? No, you're not a jerk. You wouldn't be a jerk if you didn't even extend the very generous offer of letting her stay for 1 or 2 days during the weekend, right? Your house isn't an Airbnb. If they want to party for a full weekend, they need to make those accommodations. They need to go out and find a place that's not inconveniencing someone else. WholeAd2742 replied, "Not the jerk. First of all, it's not your property to lend out, let alone the risk and liabilities of random folks drinking and tearing up the place. Sister needs to check her entitlement." Vegas by way of LA replied, "Tell her to rent an Airbnb. It wouldn't cost much divided by 12 people. That way there will be financial consequences if they trash the place. There's no way you would ever collect on a cleaning fee or damaged items." Our next story is, am I the jerk for rushing my friend to finish her food? I, 22-year-old male, went to a Japanese restaurant with my friend, 21-year-old female. She ordered a small bowl of miso soup and a beer. I ordered the same with an additional cocktail. I finished my order within 20 to 35 minutes. My friend, on the other hand, was still eating her food. I decided to wait. After a while, I commented that she should not force herself to finish the food if she can't. She replied that she's not forcing herself and that she's just waiting for the food to go down, and that it'll be easier since it's only liquid food and not solid food. We argued for a bit more and then moved on from the subject. The waiter came by with the bill, and she was still eating. After a while, she decided not to finish the miso soup and commented how the carbonation from the beer was making her stomach tight. I then responded by repeating her words of only needing to wait for the liquid to go down. We left when the restaurant was about to close down. She still didn't finish her food. This wasn't a big deal, but there was a bit of tension at the time. Am I the jerk? It's petty but ultimately harmless. I will say that people that take an absurdly long time to eat can be frustrating at times, but it's a comment that you probably just should have kept to yourself, so it is what it is. Our next story is, am I the jerk for bringing smelly food to the office and getting someone in trouble? I, 26-year-old male, work at a mid-sized company in a pretty casual office. I'm kind of a picky eater and don't like a lot of standard American lunch stuff, so I tend to meal prep and bring my own lunches every day. I also like cooking and trying out stuff I see online. I follow a lot of Asian and Eastern European cooking channels. Last week, I brought in homemade kimchi fried rice with a soft-boiled egg and some pickled daikon. It smelled amazing to me, and I was excited to eat it. I heated it up in the break room like usual and enjoyed it. About 10 minutes later, my manager comes over and very politely asks if I can avoid bringing really strong-smelling food because someone complained. I was honestly kind of surprised. I've brought curries, garlic-heavy pasta, even fish before, and no one said anything. But I said, okay, no big deal. I thought that was the end of it, but yesterday, my coworker, who sits a few desks down, came over and straight up asked me if I was the one who brought the smelly food. I said, yeah, and he just goes, cool, well, thanks for getting me written up. Turns out he was the one who complained, but he apparently did it in a super rude way, calling it foreign garbage in the Slack channel for his team. Someone screenshotted it and sent it to HR. He didn't get fired or anything, but he got a formal warning. Now, a few people in the office are giving me weird looks and being a little cold. I think they think I snitched or that I was the one who reported it or something, but I had nothing to do with the HR stuff. I still don't even know who complained. I told one of the nicer coworkers what actually happened, and she said I should have expected food like that would cause drama, and that bringing such weird food would only draw attention. But it was literally rice and egg and kimchi. I got the recipe off a BuzzFeed video. It's not like I cooked up a whole octopus or something. Now I feel super self-conscious and am back to eating sad peanut butter sandwiches at my desk. My roommate says I didn't do anything wrong, but I do kind of feel like I caused a mess without meaning to. I know it wasn't intentional, but those are foods that are pretty well regarded as being strong smelling, especially when heated up in a microwave. So I get why people are frustrated. Your coworker's definitely a jerk, though, for, snitching and calling it foreign garbage and all of that. Ultimately, I don't think that OP is a jerk, though, because they didn't intend for any of this to happen. But, there's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned PB&J. Okay, everybody, that is all the time that we got for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. And if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. I got nothing else for you. Get out of here. Have a great day. I will see you all next time.